do so.
Going
I
live.
think.
Yeah.
Okay. I will, as vice chair, I will be chairing today's meeting because our Chairman Cunningham is not able to attend. So I will call the meeting to order. And please note that Karen Dixon and myself are in attendance. The first thing to do is to accept the agenda. Do I have a motion? And I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have the agenda and the minutes. Did you notice any alterations?
I did not.
Okay, and a motion to approve as submitted
Yes, so moved.
and a second, me, and all in favor,
Aye.
and that is approved. Which moves us to ordinances and resolutions. Do we have to have a motion to hear it, right?
Yes, so moved.
Okay, ordinance 2021-41, an ordinance to appropriate funds for improvements to Big Station Camp Boulevard. The mayor said that he would be in here shortly.
He's here now.
Okay,
Oh.
perfect.
Before I could speak.
We're on the Big Station Camp Creek.
Don't we all love our binders?
Yes. So much so.
Y'all know that we've been talking to Gallatin, been talking to Southeastern, been talking to Rogers Group. The initial offer that I made, just to move the ball forward, was that we would ask Southeastern to pave that section of road that used to be in the city of Hendersonville, and they need to do it. I think my deadline was November 3rd, I think is what I put on there. We're flexible on that. The idea is we need to do it before asphalt plants close. That could be November, that could be December.
Yes.
They close at different times depending on the weather. In that City of Gallatin, City of Hendersonville, Rogers Group, and Sumner County would reimburse Southeastern 12.5%. Essentially, they would be reimbursed half of what they're expected to do if they do it now, as opposed to somewhere in the future. All of those entities seem to be interested in moving forward. The small bit of pushback I got was from Rogers Group. If a different company is hired to do the project, Rogers Group has a little bit of problem ready to check for a different company to do the work. But they're in communication with us, Southeastern, and maybe something will work out. The county has taken some action. I've talked to the City of Gallatin. They're interested in this. I think the next step for us is to take it to committee and just express in a resolution that we're willing to move forward. We sort of done that. It just expressed that we should appropriate the money, and that's actually on the agenda tonight.
Yes.
If there's any objection, I'm fine putting that off. I just want to show the other entities that we're interested in moving forward, and we're going to keep our end of the bargain. If we need to put it off, we need to put it off.
I expected you to tell us that work started today
It
and
sort
that
of looked like
Rogers
that.
Group was not the person hired. But I heard that today, but it wasn't verified, which would mean we would need to come up with another $35,000.
No, I'm not offering that. 35,000 is how I'm going. If somebody else if you want to spend more, that's fine.
I'm willing to, frankly.
No, that's good. Okay.
I think 35 was a bargain for us, and where we are with this, our citizens drive on that road every day.
Yeah.
It was in my ward, so I have an understandable bias there.
Yeah.
I would love to. It's understandable that Rogers wasn't hired because basically we're asking them to donate the labor, but they haven't been. We need to verify this.
Okay.
I did not verify it. I
Okay.
heard it. I don't know if it's true. If it is true, I think if we could get everybody to just go up by whatever portion, share that
I would be
35,000.
willing to go up to 50 for it. I know, I'm sorry, but if what your rumor is saying is true, I don't know how would we vote on this tonight or not?
Can we verify this to?
So I can check with Southeastern in the morning.
Okay.
I think what probably we'd want to do is instead of at 12.5% times 4, what we do is go to 16.67% times 3.
Can we
Okay.
And I can check that. And
Well,
again-
we could amend it tonight, right?
And so if y'all want to appropriate $2 million, that's fine, but I'm still stuck
Mhm.
at that 12.5% right
I
now.
understand.
If you want to say
Yeah.
17%, whichever is lower,
As the max.
17%, or $50,000 or $60,000, whatever y'all want to put on there. It's fine. Keep in mind, this is an ordinance, so it'll be 2 readings. If we do
It's
some,
a-
it's an ordinance.
Oh, it is an
Yeah.
ordinance, okay.
So I use resolutions for that vague term. I think this will show if we do something tonight at the board level, I think it will
Mhm.
show the other entities that we're serious about them,
Yes.
about moving forward, and hopefully it will get them
Okay.
to step up as well. as well.
When you said resolution, I
I'm
thought,
sorry.
so no, that's okay. So leave it out as tonight. And know that we are willing to
Mhm.
increase it if we need to.
If we need to.
If
Do you say I
it,
should go forward or leave it out tonight?
I would move forward. We can
Let's move
amend
forward.
it second reading, right?
yeah,
We can do
I
that.
think we need to hear it tonight to
Okay.
show the other parties involved that we're gonna do what we say
Okay.
we're gonna do, and we're serious, and they
I
can count
realize
on
I'm
us.
moving things a little bit quickly.
I'm fine with it.
Well, we're coming up on winter. We need to. So
It's been a slow, that road's been, it's so bad. It needs to move quickly.
They were doing some kind of work out there yesterday and today. Which is good news.
Mhm.
right. Okay, good.
All those, is there any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor, well, I guess you make a motion to.
I
can
make a
tell I'm
motion to-
rookie at this part.
So moved. Let's vote.
To send it to Bowman with a favorable recommendation, right? Okay, second, and all those in favor,
Yes.
yes, so that carries. Now we have resolution 2021-44, a resolution to determine the usage of funds received by the 2021-22 local government grant program previously approved within the budget ordinance.
So moved to discuss.
Okay, and a second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion carries. Do you have any questions about it?
No.
I was about to say, I'm happy to
Yeah.
speak to that.
Okay, good. Okay.
This is mostly just a housekeeping item. The direct appropriations from the state of Tennessee have already been appropriated through our budget. And one of the stipulations or lack thereof was the information was provided to us that it's not required to pass for the board to pass anything. It's not required for us to submit a plan to receive this money. However, there are a couple of encouraging or a couple of stipulations encouraging us on how to utilize this. And from the finance perspective, from a documentation side of things, it would be very helpful for us to be able to have this in our back pocket should the comptroller want to review what we spent this money on.
Understand.
So having the board just tell us exactly what would be very helpful on our end.
Yeah.
It's not approving or excuse me, it's not appropriating any additional money. This is money that we've already intended to spend from the beginning, just clarifying a few things.
And it doesn't affect what we're spending on
Correct.
paving. It doesn't affect the general fund balance. It's just,
That's correct. It's a documentation.
it's just a document.
Mhm.
Yep.
I understand. I'll move to accept. Or
Okay.
if you don't- if you're-
Recommend, I think. is what
Okay,
it's supposed to be.
yeah, it's a resolution. Thank you.
Yeah, we're both in our rookie year. We don't
Yes.
know what we're doing, but we
That's all
like
right.
this idea. So
I know.
I second it, and all those in favor,
Aye.
motion carries. Okay, resolution 2021-48, a resolution recommending to the County Commission of Sumner County, Tennessee, the issuance and sale of general obligation bonds for the purpose of funding capital improvements to the facilities of the Resource Authority of Sumner County. We've talked about that quite a lot.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I move.
I second, and we're both in favor,
Yes.
obviously, so motion carries. So discussion. the contract that's provided to us in here is,
Pretty short.
actually, it's in our act.
She's pretty short.
Yeah.
I was expecting to have more information on it, but we went through all that, so.
Just have to sign when they sell the bonds.
I don't believe so. That is my understanding is
County
no,
would-
we would only be a party to it.
By virtue of the fact that we're 2/7 of the resources.
Right. As far as the language goes, just speaking to that, this is something prepared from a municipal advisor for the county. However, I'm fairly certain this is stock language from the comptroller's office and
Yeah.
all the required information that they should need with a little bit of additional, including our ownership rates.
This is also on the agenda tonight. We
Yes.
discussed it here. We discussed it last week. We didn't have the actual agreement in front of us. If somebody wants to say that it needs to delay by 2 weeks, I'm fine with that. But I did feel like we should at least bring it forward so we can show the other entities that we're looking for.
I am comfortable with it.
I am as well.
Being on the BOMA agenda tonight.
Yes.
I think that it is a little difficult to read because the font is very small, but it seems that everything is what we've discussed, and we're not really taking on anything because as partial owners, we would actually be responsible for part of the debt.
So
And
at most, we're responsible for 2/7, and that's everything defaults and after
It's just
pretty much the
very
least resource
minimal.
authority is liquidated. So,
right, and the county and Gallatin also default, and that's not happening.
Right, the
So,
comptroller's agency will never let a municipality
Yeah.
default. That doesn't mean that it would look good in any way, but
so we would move to recommend this.
Yes.
And I would second that. And all those in favor?
Yes.
So the motion carries. Other agenda items, we are now on sales tax report. Robert, tell us how rich we are.
well, we've got, good news is continuing. As I've said, we'll see a little bit of a decline. Just the question is how much. We're kind of seeing that start out, which is a fairly regular trend, especially with any tax-free weekends that may come up, or there's several items leading into. I'm sure a lot of people save some money for the holidays, and the next couple of months we see a little bit of a dip. We see that this month from our trend. However, we're still up over $250,000 compared to last year, and $250,000 compared to the year before that almost. But excuse me, cumulative change to year to date. So 70,000 the year before we were up,
Yeah.
and 250,000 this year. That 1.5 million range seems to be what we're hovering at. I would love to see us do that into December, and I certainly expect us to. That's when we're only a month in arrears here, but that's usually when our highest points come. As you can see, January, the past 2 years have been a high point, highest for the city, to be honest with you. January the past 2 years. So we're running into a little bit of a lull, but we will quickly recover from that.
I'll just tell you, I was out running errands this weekend and it felt like Christmas.
Oh,
The
yeah.
traffic and the parking.
It was, yeah.
It felt like Christmas
The weather was
already.
great, so everybody was out.
Right.
That's really
Lots
what
of
it
things
was.
going on in the city.
I was just like,
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be in a scenario where when I say a little bit of a lull, we're still up hundreds of thousands of dollars over the
No
previous year.
Yep.
So
Great news.
that is excellent news. And we're on pace to beat projections by about 10%, and knock on wood, should this still continue. So it's wonderful.
okay. Unless there are additional questions, we can move to the hotel motel tax report.
Sure. For hotel motel, a little bit of a newer format, including some of the expenditures from prior year. But however, we are meeting the FY20 pre-COVID numbers for hotel motel tax. So we're finally back to that. We saw we made some headway somewhere around April and May of this year, and we're starting to see that come in month after month, and being able to get closer to where we were pre-COVID. We're budgeted this year for $250,000 worth of expenditures, and based on the way things are going, we should not only be able to meet that, but exceed it by hopefully exceed $300,000, which is what we were on pace for 2020.
Right.
So
Okay.
That's wonderful.
it would
Very
be
good news to add some more hotels. People love in Hendersonville.
right.
The next thing is our stormwater fund report.
Correct. So for FY22, we do have the FY21 actuals on there as well. But for FY22, we did have a budget. I'm sorry, my numbers are a little off here, but we did anticipate a little over $3 million in expenditures and $2.6 million in revenues, with a beginning balance of $1.1 million. Actuals year to date, we've spent just shy of $400,000 through that, and we can anticipate revenues collecting for stormwater starting in November. So we'll see that revenue start to come in pretty heavily in December, and we'll continue on through the rest of the fiscal year. So a lot of our spending, that bank balance will drop down a little bit, and then skyrocket back up. And the breakdown should be on the back page number 20 there.
And then excitingly, we have our first report from finance for the inline hockey project update. And I just want to clarify, my understanding is at this point that Jesse, you are the project manager for this, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm kind of filling in.
Okay.
He's now the project manager,
So if we go over budget, we know who to throw our stones at.
man,
Okay. But it looks good, right? It looks like we're gonna be on budget.
yeah, we're still working through a few things out there. Looking to maybe possibly add a few things, but as far as the original plan goes, I think we'll stay to the original plan we can stay on budget. One of the things, there's a couple things we're looking at, so we'll keep you updated on that. And so far, we have not.
You don't want to tell us what they are right now.
There was no specification for paint on the building. It's primered. So it has a primer coat. So we're looking at painting it so that we don't have to go back once the canvas is on and paint under the canvas.
Yeah.
So
Is it made of concrete,
it's steel. So it's
steel?
white primer steel. And
You need a sun resistant top coat.
it's a canvas on the top,
Mhm.
but I just think it would look a lot cleaner with paint and protect from rust and all the scratch marks that can hit that water can condensate and cause rust to come out. So we just gotten a bid for the paint today. So we've looked at maybe adding a few things that would add value to the project, but as far as what was originally scoped, there haven't been, hey, steel costs 20% more. So it's things
Okay.
that we've initiated.
That's
saying,
good.
let's think about considering maybe building it a little better than we have.
Okay.
So I know not to cut you off. I
No, no,
apologize if
no.
I did. I know the format of this needs to be reworked just a little bit for finance committee. The lettering's a little small, so we'll continue to fine tune that a little bit and come back to you. Some of this information may be Greek and also unnecessary. So, but in a pinch, I thought this would be a good one to add and to begin discussing. No problem. And I know during the fire hall admin construction, the finance committee preferred to hear monthly updates on that one. So a key number up at the top, Ms. Collins, is a percentage up there.
Mhm.
And I believe it's 42%,
0.5.
42.5%
Okay.
of the expenditures. And I think that's a fair actual estimate of construction progress as well,
Mhm.
my understanding. But going forward, we may have a little bit more information and in a bit more of a readable format for you.
Mhm.
Great.
The one thing that we don't need to go into now, but the change order 1, 2, 3, 4, I would be interested to know what they are. Because
Sure.
I mean, for us to just know the numbers is one thing, but we can't really judge the necessity for the expenditure, which may or may not really be our role on finance committee, but it kind of is as aldermen. So
Absolutely.
that would be
Just
valuable
a
to
purpose
me.
on there.
Just like if there's a change order number 5,
Right.
paint.
Right, it can be
Not-
basic.
It
Sure.
doesn't
Yeah.
have to be huge. Like we decided to add, we forgot we needed men and women's restrooms or, so, or changing tables in the restrooms, or I don't know what it might be, but just so we can have a sense of that.
Absolutely.
But this is exciting. I'm excited for this whole project, and it appears that we're going to be relatively on budget.
I have every indication that that's the case.
Okay.
Great.
Any questions
No,
or
that was a very
anything
good
else?
update. Thank you.
Yes. Discussion, ECD report from Mr. Kirk.
That was asked to be put on here. I have not seen Mr. Kirk in the last couple of hours, and
We don't have a report.
right, I don't have anything
Okay.
handheld physical to provide to you.
Mhm.
However, we may be able to, if you guys are okay with deferring that to next month, we may be able to bring him back. Okay.
Are we gonna do it monthly
I don't
or
believe so.
quarterly, or, I
We
mean,
can add that to the
what do you
agenda
think,
however
Karen?
you'd
Would
like.
that be?
I met with Jesse and Rod this week because, we've been in office how many months now? We've not heard from him. And so, I said, I'd like to know what's going on. So I met with them earlier. Well, it was last week. I think that we need a scheduled update from him, even if it's not in committee, if it's in BOMA.
Sure.
That's my opinion.
I'll be happy to put it on next month as well and reach out to him and see if I can get something to
Oh.
disseminate as well. He does do a cyclical
Newsletter.
newsletter,
Yes.
and I believe you folks are on
Yeah.
there. I think
Kinda.
Yeah.
I see that it comes to me. I
The
don't see who else
newsletter
goes
is
to.
informative for,
Right.
the citizens, but not informative enough for BOMA, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
It's,
And, I asked a lot of questions of Jesse, like, what is our objective in the next few years for
Mhm.
economic development? Where are we headed? What do we have written goals and things we want to attain? Do we have measures? And Jesse, as usual, says, I'm already working on them. So we look forward to your update. It would be great.
Mhm. Are there other department heads that don't report to a committee?
Yes.
Okay.
IT wouldn't.
IT and HR, I don't think.
Oh, that's true.
And codes.
Codes is what I was thinking, yeah.
Mhm.
Codes, IT.
That's true.
I mean, they'd all come in at times, but they don't.
I mean, I think we can discuss it further, but my initial reaction is that the work that he's doing would impact the sales tax, income, and all of these forms of income that we evaluate, that we review monthly. It would be nice to have a report that wasn't, that was a little bit more data than public consumption, and because we can handle a little bit more hard analytical information for us to analyze than kind of pretty things that are in the newsletters. But there may be some negatives to that I'm not aware of too. Do we have any other discussion? Wow. Is there a motion to adjourn?
There is a motion to adjourn.
And a second. All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. That was so fast.
Not yet. Have control. I can find out. I think Jason's taking care of it.
Okay.
I'm not able to, but I say, well,
It's today,
I can-
you know.
I got my time
Is
marked.
that a real,
I'll be right
email?
back.